Hi everyone again. Today we'll be continuing doing what we were doing last time. So we're developing our website, and right now I'm focusing on the calendar page, specifically on this ticket right here. So we want to sign me out for some reason. Actually, wait a second. My Zoom just crashed. You can still see the screen, right? Yeah, I think it's fine. All right. So yeah, we're developing a service to talk to Firestore to fetch some records, and our events that we'll display on our website, they'll live on Firestore, and we'll fetch the data, basically implement some basic CRUD on the data. And yeah, this should be cool. I'm actually going to show what I've done so far, and then we'll start with some housekeeping and go into actual coding parts. So let me spin up the website. Okay, so on the calendar page, last time we got to this piece right here, which is not very impressive, but it actually does fetch records from our Firestore database. We can see that we have an events collection and 2 documents in here. And those documents are indeed what we see on our web page. So today I want to make this a bit better. I mean, at the very least, style this and actually have like a grid of events, somewhat resembling a week structure. And yeah, we should probably go something similar to like Google Calendar, right? Like you have your grids, and then each event is like a tile on the day. And for now, we'll just assume that there's only going to be 1 event per day and things like that. So we're not going to worry about like placing them in specific days. Just like a monthly view of a calendar would be a good goal for today. If we do that fast enough, I might go into authentication, but I highly doubt we'll manage. So yeah, let me start by creating a pull request for this. It's a very good habit to always show off your work, especially if you contribute to open source. So right now I have my changes locally, and I want to create a pull request. It's not ready yet, so it's still a work in progress. But I want to create a pull request where the maintainers of this website, of this repository, could see my pull request, see my progress, and give me some feedback even before them reviewing my code. And I'm going to use something called GitHub CLI just to change things up. If you've never heard about GitHub CLI, it's a very cool tool to basically the gist of it is it can do whatever you're doing on the website, on the web page, but in terminal. So you can see, for example, you can write out some commands and it's going to give you some feedback. It's basically like you interacting with a browser, but through a command line. So let me show you what that means. And I hope it's going to be useful. If you've never used GitHub CLI, for sure, give it a try. So I can say something like GitHub PR list. My GitHub CLI is already connected to my repository, so this will work. For you, you'll need to probably configure some first steps like GitHub login to authenticate and GitHub init, GH init to kind of initialize the repository. But for me, I can just do GH PR list. And what this does, it fetches the 2 PRs that we see on the web page. So if I go back to my pull requests, these 2 pull requests actually match what I see in the terminal. And this is pretty cool. I don't need to open a web page and go through the GUI, which might take longer like switching to the browser, doing this in the browser, and switching back to my terminal. It's kind of nice to have everything in one place. So if I want to open a APR for my branch right here, I can say something like GitHub APR create. And this will take me through an interactive step-by-step command line experience. It's going to ask me about the title. I'm just going to call this calendar data work. I don't know, for lack of a better name. Then it's going to ask me which template I want to use. I set it up so it uses like a specific template for the pull request. So I'm going to choose that. And that should open this. Right, so this is now asking me about the body of the pull request. I'm going to press E to launch my editor. And this launched a markdown file, which I can now edit. So this is fine. I can describe what this did. So like connect to Firestore. I'm not going to type too much. I'm going to revise this anyway later on when I actually create the pull request or finalize it, I suppose. Yeah, this is there. And then the issue number that we're tackling, and that's actually issue number 14. So now all I need to do is just close this file, and you'll see that the terminal continues to asking me questions. What's next? I can continue in the browser, and this is pretty cool. So I can save whatever data I was entering and then continue in the page in the browser. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to submit my pull request here. And that's pretty much it. So easily like 4 questions, kind of a bit of typing. I didn't need to go to any web page anywhere. And my pull request is there. If I check the GitHub PR list, you can see that now we have our pull request in here. So it's pretty cool. If you want to save some time, highly recommend you looking into it. All right, let's do actual work. I killed my server, so I'm going to start that again. And we'll kind of look where we're at. So we have these 2 events, and if I recall, we didn't yet get to the date yet. Like there is actually, you'll notice that one of these has a start time, which we should probably account for. At least at the very least, I want to display that on our web page. So let's do that first. Right, because I commented this line out. If I comment this back in, I think this will blow up. Yeah. Let's see what the console says. The console says that the cannot read properties of undefined, reading to-date string. So why did that happen? Well, this happens for a specific reason. And that reason is because in Firestore, dates are stored as timestamps. You can see that the type of my date is timestamp, and it's not the same as a JavaScript date per se. So when you're going to fetch the date from Firestore, you also need to perform some sort of a conversion on it. And the conversion function is to date. Just happen to know this. So this should be fine. But I think the error was telling us that the start time is undefined. I think in our service, we also need to change something. Yeah, so it's looking for start dates. We might want to do start time, because that's what we have. Start time. And we also need to make sure that we check if the start time exists, because one of those documents didn't have that. So I'm just checking if it exists. If it does, I'm going to render the string representation of the start time. So let's see how that looks like. And bingo, we have our dates in our events. And notice that the one event that didn't have the dates for it didn't blow up, even though the date is not specified. And that's because of this check here. kind of preventing, like if this would be undefined, we would get this same error, like could not read to data undefined, something like that. Cool. I'm going to commit that actually. It's a pretty nice bit of work. I think I also have some logs in the service, which I'm going to get rid of. Display dates, event dates. Cool. Okay, let's get these events into an actual grid. I think this is going to be the bulk of the work today. When I usually need to store something in a table or in a grid, I resort to CSS Grid. We're using just plain CSS in this project, and I mean, I think CSS Grid is going to fit this the most. Be ready that I'm going to struggle because I haven't done CSS in a very long time. So CSS Tricks is like the go-to website. I don't know, I've always kind of landed in here eventually when I was Googling stuff about Grid. And I think it's a very good resource to learn about Grid and what is it about, how to structure your columns, rows, and things like that. So let's see. For starters, I think I want to have just like the current month being displayed, like basically 1st of February to like 28th of February. In like a grid structure. So what it would be like 7, oh, actually it's exactly 4 weeks. So it should be like a 7 by 4 kind of table. So let's do that. So I think, okay, let's define our container and go from there and see how this turns out. So in our calendar.js, we have a calendar container, and I think we can actually use that. Oh, I guess we have the header here. So I'm going to have like another div under this. Oh, and I wonder if I can do this. Div, this a thing? No, okay. Usually, if I would be in HTML, I could give it an automatic class like this, but I don't think it's going to work in JSX, so I'm going to do this manually. So I want class name of calendar grid. And I'm going to just do like, I don't know, 28 divs under it. That's what I can think of. And then each div, this is interesting. Yeah, and then each div would be either filled or not filled based on whether there's an event in that day. That's the quickest thing I can think of right now, so I'm just going to roll with that. So we want a list of dates from the 1st of February to the 28th of February. So let's generate that and generate a bunch of divs under my calendar grid. So, oh, also this loading is kind of annoying. The loading thing actually needs to go under the container. Like otherwise you're going to see this annoying white screen loading effect. So yeah, I actually noticed this before the start of the session. So we need to say like something like if there are no events, then display this. I think this will work. And then if there are events, I might be doing this in a very bad way, but that's what I can think of the quickest. What is this complaining about? Oh, interesting. Can you not nest this like this? Okay, I'm just going to do it here. Events and events map, and then we don't need this. Sure, I think this should fix our loading states. Possibly, unless it's just going to break. Nothing was returned from render. Oh, because I didn't clean up. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so you can see that now the loading state only flashes in here. It actually doesn't flash the white screen, which is cool. Let's take a tangent. Adam is asking, I'm new to GDSC and joined this event. What is GDSC Conestoga? Well, GDSC stands for Google Developer Student Club. And we are the first of a kind in Conestoga. We're just doing events like these. And basically organizing a bunch of events where you can learn stuff, where they should probably tailor towards Google technology, but we focus on enhancing the knowledge and improving team workflows within the Conestoga student community, specifically IT and design. So yeah, if you have like a project idea, if you have anything in particular you want to work on, we can help you find a team, work on that. If you want to learn something, bring that up to us. We'll create a workshop for you. This series of workshops I'm running to create a website for our club. And it's kind of meta, right? Like I'm doing workshops about a club that runs workshops. But yeah, I mean, we are creating a website where you can actually these are going to be the events that we're going to host. So it's a bit like meta, but this is what it is, basically. I hope that clears things. All right. Let's continue. Where was it? Yeah, I want 28 dates from the 1st to the 28th. Actually, that's 29 now that I think about it. Okay, we'll see. I want my dates. Let's do like current month. It's going to be an array of dates. And then I want to start at the 1st and finish the 28th. So let's write just a for each date. And I want to do this for 29th. Well, let's do 28, like less than or equal to 28. And what I want to do is say, so I don't know how dates work, to be honest. I'm just gonna check this. So if we have a new date, right, this is Monday, February 21st. If I want to set this to something else, can I set? Oh yeah, I can set second, set time, set year. Can I set date? Set month, set date. And then this possibly can be the 1st. And then if I do to, oh, but this, right, so set date gives me a Unix string. Interesting. Can I do a new date from this? Hey, look at this. So we got February 1st, and that's how you do it. All right, let's do that. So I'm only going to display the events for the current month, which is not ideal, but we'll roll with it. So for each date from the 1st to the 28th, I want to say current month push new date of, so let's do like, I wonder if that changes D actually. So I did D set date 1. Did that change D? Oh, right. So that changed D, which is fine. But I want like copies of D, I guess. So I'll do this. I'll do const today is new date. And then I'm going to say, or let's better call this like running date. And then running date, I'm going to set date to the current date in the iteration loop. And I'm going to always push a copy of the running date. Let's just see how this looks like. So I have my calendar grid, and I'm just going to do the same map we've done before. So current month, map, each date to the div. I'm just going to display the dates, dates to date string. And I want that in curlies because I want the value. Cool. See what this is. And that's great. So look at that. We have Tuesday, February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and so on until 28th. And this is awesome. So now I can organize just this list of divs into a cool list of rows and columns. And I'm going to use CSS Grid to do that. So let's see how that can be done. So calendar grid, the very first thing I'm going to do is just set display grid to it. So where is our CSS, our calendar container? I'm just going to put this somewhere here. Calendar grid. And we'll say display grid. What that does to us. Okay, that didn't do too much. Right, so let's look through a reference. Define the element as a grid container and establishes a new grid formatting context for its contents. Grid generates a block level grid, inline grid. Let's also make sure I did not mess up the naming. Calendar grid. Calendar grid. No, this is fine. All right. All right, grid template columns defines the columns and rows of the grid with a space-separated list of values. The values represent the track size, and the space between them represents the grid line. All right. Grid lines automatically assign positive numbers from these assignments. So we want, I mean, this is going to be ugly once again, but I want 4 columns and 7 columns and 4 rows. I guess 5 rows. So let's see an example that they give here. Line 3. Right, so guessing this is the gap and this is the width of the column. Yes, so 40px, 50px, auto. All right. So let's do auto on, actually, I know you can do like fractions. I'm going to do 1fr for 7 times. See how that does. So grid, template, columns. And I want 1fr, 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 1fr. Actually, I mean 7 those. And then grid, template, rows. I want, let's do like 50 pixels 4 times, or like 100 pixels. Hey, look at this. Okay. So now we get 7 columns. Tuesday. Well, kind of sucks that it starts at Tuesday, but that we'll deal with that later. Then, yeah, we're actually fine. Sorry, I don't know why I thought it would be 29. So yeah, I would say ideally like 4 by 7, which is great. All right, this is awesome. The only thing I really want to display is like which month it is, and then each cell should have the number of the date that it is. And possibly like labels for days of week, but we'll go with that later. So let's display the month at the top and just leave only the date in each cell, which is going to feel boring because it's going to become like 1 to 28. But it's going to be useful because we know we actually store dates and we can compare this date to the actual date. All right. So current month, we're just going to have something like const, I don't know, selected month. And this is going to be new dates get month. This is going to be 0 based. So if I go and do, everything crashed horribly. If I go and do like new date get month, the current month is 1, although we're in February. So it's 0 based. January is 0, February is 1. I do want to actually display the string though. So I wonder if this is probably not going to do it. I want to, let's research how to convert dates to strings, just dates, format. So let's see. Well, this is not helpful. See what MDN says. New date, no, parse. Can create dates, can get dates, get full year. I just want a month. That's fine. We're Googling here, Googling things here. Just dates, get month, name. Oh, it's a toLocale string, and then you pass like a config object. Interesting. An easier way. Oh wow. Okay. I mean, I guess that's straightforward. Just like a list of names. We might use a library for this. I just don't want to bring any more things in. Yeah, I suppose this is fine, actually. Let's just have like a hard-coded list of months. So we have months, and selected month is months from get month. And I think selected month, if we display this in like an H2, we should see February. Hey, look at that. That's our February. I believe, yeah, we have a text align center in here. I'm just going to do H1 and H2. I wonder how that works, because I think this rule only applies for H1s that are somewhere within this container. I wonder if this will work. Probably not. No, this is still, oh, this actually also doesn't apply to this. Interesting. Let's leave this and maybe just do the same rule for H2s. By the way, if you notice me doing something stupid and you know how to do this better, feel free to speak up or type something in the chat. I'm open to ideas of doing something the other way, because I'm thinking on the fly here. All right, we get everything centered. This is good. This is not very good. We got our events centered. So this is actually going to be a good display of what is a direct rule in CSS. I think if I do like an arrow in here, yeah, this only applies to February and not to these H2s. And the reason for that is because the arrow means tag or whatever you target directly under this class. So it applies to the H2s that are under the divs with class name calendar container, but they don't apply to events within my upcoming events, right? Like, because those are nested in like another div, and here's my H2. So this H2 will not be affected by that rule. Yeah, kind of a quick tip here. All right, let's get this going. We only want the date. So get me the date. And we're displaying the current month. This is great. I think we're almost ready to display events there. So yeah, this is actually pretty good. We got like a very nice calendar view in here. So next goal, and I'm gonna commit this first. Set up a calendar scaffold. Next goal on the list is to display an event box, or at least the event name, in an appropriate date that we create the event in. So let's do that. I'm going to map my date, current month, and I want to render the div. So I want to optionally render my event in here. So if let's see how I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and find an event with that date, which is not going to be optimal, but it's fine. And I'm going to display if I did find one. So here we go. Now I'm converting this to a body, and I need a return keyword. And my current event is going to be events find, right? Because I do have events in here. Events, yeah. I also want to only render this if I have events, by the way. So I might need to do this a bit differently, but that's okay. I might even separate this into a separate component. Let's not worry about this right now. So event is events find, and I want to find an event in my list. And the matching criteria is if the date, the start time dot to date. For now, I'm only going to compare. Well, actually, let's compare the current month and the current date. So current month, selected month. Cool. I'm actually going to set selected month to the number itself because I want the number. And where I display it, I want to get the name of this selected month. And then I can say something like, so I got a date here, and I can say get month is equal to selected month, and also the date matches. So should probably do this into a separate function. Once again, not going to worry about this too much. So get date equals the current date we're iterating over. So we're mapping across the current month dates and displaying that. So cool, we found an event. Or didn't. And now we need to display something. Let's get some formatting going in here. So I want to display the date anyway, but also I want to display a box for the event. So let's wrap everything in a div. And I'm going to use my function to render an event, actually. So I have my function in here. It has a class name, a key, which is useful. And yeah, let's do that. So render event, and I just pass the event. So I only want to do this if I have an event. So event and render event and pass the event. Right, like the find will return a null. Will return null if it doesn't find an event. So this will not get rendered, and if it does, we will see an event there. All right, we blew things up. Let's see what's wrong. Cannot report is of null, reading finds. All right, so events is null, and that's exactly for the reason that I need to check here. You know what? I'm going to bring back the early return because that was just too convenient. So the reason, just to explain, the reason why it's breaking is because we're in a loading state at first, where the events property is undefined, and it's only going to get defined when this use effect fires, or sorry, when it's when the await finishes with the get events. So it's going to go to Firestore and fetch some events, and a couple of seconds will pass. With the good internet connections, it's a couple of 100 milliseconds. And only then it's going to set our events. Up until that point, we're still in the loading state, and there are no events defined. We cannot show anything. That's why everything is blowing up, because there are no events. This is undefined. So we can, yeah, let's bring back the early return. I think that's going to be the safest option. So if no events, then we just return. The only catch here is to get this div in there. That's what I was fixing. with a blank white screen. And we're just going to plop loading in there. And now I don't need to worry about events, because if at this point I already have events defined. So this is checking like we don't have events, so just render a calendar container. Okay, this should have fixed our issue. Let's see what this says. Ooh, okay, more errors. Canary properties of undefined, reading to date. And it's calendar JS 59. So somewhere in here, I'm assuming start time. Oh, right, because we have an event that doesn't have a date. Let's not handle that. Let's actually modify each event to have a date, start time. I know this is not ideal, but I'm cutting a lot of corners anyway. So timestamp, date, let's pick, I don't know, 16th. I don't care. Let's do that. All right. See how that looks. Okay, it didn't blow up. Didn't render anything either, which is not great, but we can look into why it didn't. Child and a list should have a unique key prop, and that's fair enough because we're iterating over current month and this div doesn't have anything. For now, I'm just going to say that the key is just the date itself. Oh, I know why we didn't match, and also why this is still complaining. Date is actually an object, right? Dates are actual new dates. So we want to compare by getting the date off of the date. I think. Yeah, because we're doing get date in here. And then we also want that in the key prop. Hey, look at that. All right, we got something rendering in here. So I want to draw some borders because I want to see where it's actually identifying the end here. It's also sinking into whiteness. It actually does have the text, I believe. Yeah, like our background is white, so we don't see it. But this is good. So we rendered our two events in the appropriate dates, I think. So coding Mondays is 21st. We can double check that. Oh, actually, no, it's February 14th and 16th. So I wonder why they rendered there. 14. Oh, I see. So it's actually like this cell in here rendered the coding Mondays piece, and then this cell in here rendered the blah whatever event. So this is interesting. All right, we need to work on some styling. I think that's going to be the end piece of this session. We have a question around a student comp sci laboratory, and we do open source projects. Should we submit projects? Sure. I mean, we have a few competitions going on. So we have Solution Challenge, and we have Demo Day, I believe, if that's not canceled yet. You can compete with your projects. You can also, I mean, we can connect after the session and talk more about this, but for sure, if you have some projects you're working on, bring them in. We'll talk about them. We also will have a monthly sync event on Friday, where we just basically hang out with club members and answer some questions and get feedback on what's going on in the club. So if you have questions like these, feel free to bring that up on Friday, but also you can reach out to me on Discord and we can talk after. So yeah, hopefully that answers that. Cool, let's actually not make this suck. Let's go to calendar CSS and give our events some borders. So I have calendar grid, and I want to identify each item under our calendar grid. So it's actually this div right here. I'm going to give it a class name of calendar cell. So I have calendar container, calendar grid, calendar cell. Sorry, just brain froze there. And I just want to give it a border of 1 px solid white, just to see where the borders are. Also notice that we have 100 VH always on the calendar container. I actually want that to be min height. Max height could be whatever it wants. Still got that issue though. Interesting. All right. Okay. We do get that. You know what? Let's maybe. I really wonder why it's displaying it like that. Possibly because of how events is styled. Oh yeah, it's totally because of how events are styled, because events have parting in a margin. So if we comment that out, okay, that makes more sense. So now it's just line by line under the number 14 in here, or the day, I guess. Okay, let's give each cell a bit of a padding. And then I get this is fine. I think giving it 50 px height is not the best idea, because I want it to stretch depending on the like biggest event. We'll see. So first of all, I don't want to display all the information. I probably only want the like the title and possibly the duration. Like it's on Wednesday, February 16th. This calendar view is for that, and the description we can probably specify in like another dialogue. So I'm going to get rid of some info that we don't need and make this a bit better. So I'm actually going to get rid of this, and I'm going to give our cell some padding as I promised. Padding, let's do like 0.25 rem, something. Yeah, this is better, right? And all right, I only want the title and the duration. And also the title shouldn't be H2 either, like it could be H3. Not H23. So I don't want description, I want start time, I only want duration and title. All right, this is nicer, right? Like we can see that we have an event here, which is 2 hours long. We have Coding Mondays 3 with 1 hour long. This just starts to shape up. I really like this. Let's account for long titles, because I think, as I said, like the row will not scale as you would expect. And also, I mean, we'll need to work on styling anyway separately, but let's see. Yeah, so if I just give this a bit more things in the title. Right. Then let's look at how that looks. Yeah, so this will overlap with the event at the bottom. I don't want that. Also, let's kind of scrap this because this is not needed anymore. So I don't want coming events, so I guess. Ooh, I can combine these two. I can say like upcoming events, but then I might have like a month selection. So I'm gonna leave this. Then what did I say? Yeah, because I want not just 50 px or 100 px, but something automatically scaling. I wonder if I do like auto 4 times, but I'm curious what that will do. All right, so that scaled it. I mean, as expected, right? Like it did scale this column. Oh, sorry, this row, but then the other ones are kind of weird. Also, I realized that this is not going to work on like desktop view or mobile view. There's going to be some styling changes that we'll need to address in here. But okay. So let's see how we can constrain our height, our row heights. Actually, I'm going to commit here. We have like less than 10 minutes left anyway. So if I can improve the styling, I will. But we'll see where that gets us. So display events in calendar cells. Cool. So yeah, let's explore some more styling. I want to say something like I want 100 px minimum, but if it exceeds, it should be auto. It's basically what I want. Can I do that? Column start, column end, because so the right-hand side is property for children. So I'm going to search in here. Column end. Item will span across the provided number of grid tracks. Oh, interesting. Don't want that though. Area. Don't want that. Justify self. Yeah, this could be cool. Like, actually, maybe right aligning the number and then left aligning the event or vice versa. Align self. I like how they like provide visualizations for each property. That's why I like this resource a lot. We might want some gaps as well now that I think about it. Column gap, row gap. Is there like a universal gap? Definitely want some margin here, or like padding in the container. Sorry, I'm like taking tangents and tangents, but I just start noticing things. This might need like a padding of 1 rem at least. Yeah, it's somewhat better. I mean, this is gonna suck on mobile though. Well, yeah. We'll need to think about this. Okay, let's continue looking for, I want to see if there's like a min size I can specify. place self, grid template columns, grid template columns. Oh, so this is separate. Ooh, here we go, min-max. Min-max function does exactly what it seems like. It sets a minimum and maximum value for what the length is able to be. It's useful for in combination relative units, like you may want two columns be only able to shrink so far. Yeah, so this is what I want. I want my rows to be min-max, and the minimum is 100 px, and the maximum is whatever it needs to. I wonder if there's just a min function. Yeah, I wonder if I can just do without auto, just do min 100 px. See what this does. Doesn't seem very promising because the syntax highlighting is off. Although it did achieve what I was thinking of. Yeah, so if I, for example, do 50 px, I think this should style better. Or, ooh, no, this is bad. Grrr, I thought this would work. Okay, how about, I'm gonna just do 4x in here. How about min max of 100 px, and then the max is gonna be auto. Hey, look at that. That's better. All right. That's shaping up. I do want to have numbers on the right, I think, so they're not like the same side. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here after I do this change. So get date, give it a class, sorry, class name, calendar, cell, date. We have calendar cell, and basically one date. I mean, I wonder if I can do just a text align right. That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so our numbers are right aligned and our events are kind of on the left side. I think I like this more. We have our February selection. Okay, so I think I'm gonna call it for today. So let me commit and push. We got some good progress. Styling, touches. So next time I want to add maybe more text in here, actually displaying which day of week this is. Then having a selector for the current month, maybe just literally like a forward and a backward buttons, increasing or decreasing the month. And yeah, maybe just generally more styling in here. And of course, we'll need to work on some CRUD actions like being able to add events in months, deleting events, things like that, which will not be, by the way, all those actions won't be exposed to any viewer on the page, right? Those only will need to be exposed to the admin, but we'll worry about that later when we implement our authentication. I feel like I've been saying I will worry about this later too many times, but we will, or I'll create some tickets for people to do so. Like after this feature, I think there's going to be a lot of issues people can work on. I know I haven't done a lot in the last week. I'll probably do some more next week or this week. But I promise you, after this page is done, it's going to suck a lot. in terms of styling, and there's going to be a lot of things you guys can contribute to. Anyway, I think I'm done here. Does anybody have any questions, any suggestions, comments? Anybody wants to talk about anything? Nothing at all? All right. Yeah, if everything is clear, if you have no comments, any feedback is welcome, by the way. If you want to either DM me or message me in Discord, how I should modify these sessions. Is this interesting? Do I need to focus on more things? I'm open to any kind of feedback, but yeah, thanks for joining. And I think I will run another session on Student Success Week. So hopefully all of you can make this. Or I guess I'll ping people on Discord and see how they feel. But yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for attending. Have a very nice day. Cheers.